Hello, everybody. Welcome into our latest live broadcast. Today it is Friday, August 23rd, 2024. My name is CareyHolzman, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with us because today I've got something very special I've been looking forward to testing. So I don't know about you, but I was really looking forward to today's show because we have the new Minisforum MS-A1. And I want to thank our friends at Acronis, the folks who make the backup, cloning, and copying software, for supporting us here and offering you guys 30% off of all their products. And a shout out and a super thank you to our friends at RoboForm, the password manager. Both of these products I've been using over a decade, nearly 2 decades, in my real live tech business. And so I reached out to them and asked them if they would work with us. And they're both offering you a free trial so you can decide for yourself just how good the software is. And if you want to buy it, even though the regular everyday price is a bargain, you get an additional 30% off. So that's amazing. If you're looking for password manager, please consider RoboForm. And if you're looking for backup software, give Acronis a try. Decide for yourself. They support us here. Let's support them back. Our friends at Minisforum, speaking of friends, have sent us what is basically a tiny workstation. Now, if you remember, we did the MS-A1, I think it was called, which is an Intel-based little rocket ship of a computer. This is the same thing, kinda. A few little twists. One is it's AMD, and the other is it's a socketable desktop chip in that. Wait, what? And here's the thing. You can buy this bare bones for next to nothing. I'm telling you, it's a hell of a deal. Look, I'm so excited about this. I can't contain it. Let me just show you. Let me just let the website explain it to you, because you're probably going to have to look twice. Check this out. Let's go to the window capture. There it is. Okay. Look at this. In this box, what's in front of me? The Minisforum MS-A1. Is this $1,200, $1,500? It's $259 bare bones, meaning you've got to put your own CPU in it. You want it with the CPU? That's a Ryzen 7 8700G. Price goes to $729. Price that processor. See what it'll cost you to do it yourself. And remember, you're going to need some kind of special, well, you won't use a cooling fan that came with the processor. It'd be too big. And that $729 will also include 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage and your Windows operating system. Think about that. Without the CPU, you get no RAM, no storage, no operating system license, no CPU. $259. $259. All right? You add the CPU, the RAM, the storage, the operating system, you're only at $729. Now, why am I so excited about it? Because this thing is a powerhouse. This thing could be your home server. This thing is incredible. Look at the USB ports. Look at 10 gig ports on the back. Oculink expansion. 4 NVMe slots. That's what it says there. We'll verify that. USB 4 is on here. Dual 2.5 gig RJ45s. Does this one not have the SFP? Am I confusing it? I haven't taken this out of the box yet. Supports triple screens at 8K using HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort 2.0, and USB 4, all as video outputs if you choose to. 65-watt TDP. I just can't believe this thing is as cheap as it is. So, you're getting an idea how excited I am, right? I think it's pretty darn incredible. DDR5, yes. All right, so I've confused this. I thought this had 10 gig on it, but they do make one. Maybe it's the MS-A1 that has the 10 gig SFP ports on it. So this is a little different from the MS-A1, all right? That's why I say it's got a little twist, and I should not be confusing them. That would be me doing my job poorly. What's new? But anyway, it's still, who needs the 10 gig ports anyway? I thought this had it. All right, in any event, let me go back up to the top. This is brand new, just released. I believe it's out now. And we've got one here. brand new in a box. I have not taken this out of the box. I've not done any prep. We're going to see how it unboxes, how the operating system sets up, what version of OS we have, how it's configured. I don't know. I can tell you, I can share with you what it says on the back of the box. Here's our specs right there. Just like it shows on the website, Ryzen 7 8700G, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte storage, US power adapter. All right, this thing's heavy. You know there's something good in the box and it's heavy. All right, let me go over to the chat room, say hello to everybody because I just wanted to get that out of my system. There's our friend Buster. Happy birthday to our friend Buster. It's still about a week away from his birthday, but we're going to celebrate it every day right up until and after his birthday on August 29th. Our friend Buster watches us in Scotland. Thank you, Peter Laycock. We call him Buster. And thank you, Oystein, with a very generous Amazon gift card, joining us from Norway. Ron Barnish says hello. There's John Williams and Aaron Werner. Scott saying hello. And Marlena, of course, monitoring our chat, doing all the background work, thumbnails, video notes, all of that administrative stuff that goes on with YouTube and running a YouTube channel. It could be a full-time job. So she's taking care of that for us. And let's see, Mark Gaines joining us in Northern Ireland. Luke Greenia joining us from Vermont. There's 3D everything. There's our friend Buster with a 10-pound super chat. Says, good evening, Carey and Marlena and everyone in the chat. The temperature in Edinburgh, Scotland is currently 54 degrees Fahrenheit or 12 degrees Celsius, and it's raining. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland. Right on. Thank you for the weather update, Buster. William Bird says hello. There's Eric Turner asking how the weather is. Here in Manchester, he says, it's so windy that some slates have moved on the roof. Oh, yeah, I'd say that's windy if they're stone. Dustin Fuller saying hello. Chris Johnson saying hello. Thomas MacT joining us. Doman 2000. There's also Trevor Schweitzer joining us from Australia. Trevor Dunn says hello. Craig Casabona with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Craig. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thanks to all the members in green. Scott says that was a very cool trailer. Thanks, Scott. My sister made that. Gerardo Quintana Roo says happy Friday. Welcome in, Essential Working Too Hard. And Dwayne Blackwilder and Charles Purdy all say hello. Welcome in, guys. There's Andy Kane and Gregory Howard. Martin Postema and John Paul Bacon say hello. There's Marv Young and Paul Connolly. Paul Connolly joins us also from down under. Anthony Pete says hello. We had a great chat room today. Wow, everybody's turned out. Chris Mole says hello. Andy Winbridge. Greg says hello. Ken Schmidt saying hello. Claudio says hello. Bill142 says hello. Right on. All right, guys. Thank you for all the hellos and thank you for your kindness. Now, I want to get into this. I am so super excited. I am wired up. I've been looking forward to today all week. You couldn't tell. Chomping at the bit. Time has come. This is like Christmas. Minisforum sent this to us for free in exchange for a review. That's a deal I'll take any day of the week because I already know if this is just a twist of the previous one we reviewed, the MS-A1, that means this is just going to be a little bit better in theory. AMD or Intel, I don't care. The fact it's a desktop socketed chip that you could swap out blows my mind. When have we ever seen that before? On the HP minis, those 1 liters, those have a little socketable Intel chip. I've not seen one. Well, I guess they have them socketable with AMD now. They do. On the HP Elite Desk minis. Yeah. So they're not this powerful though. This is like a whole nother, this is top tier. Let's take a look. See what we get. You can tell I haven't opened it. Still got wrapped in. take a close-up look at what we got here. On the front, we've got our power button, USB, 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 headset, nothing on the sides. Go around the back, look at all the ports, two 2.5 gig ports, display port, HDMI, USB 4, Bluetooth, blue USB 3, and a USB 2, and Oculink, and a barrel style power connector. Now to get into this, we're going to remove 4 screws that are fully exposed. We don't, 6, how many screws are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I guess we have to remove the 8 screws. And then this, just like if it's like the MS-A1, then this will slide out. Should be that easy. No rubber feet covering the screws. Thank you, Minisforum. Finally. You see how they move the rubber feet just a little away from the screw? They do that all the time. All right. Are you as excited as I am? Is it just me? I just think this is so cool. All right. Just a little foam packaging in here. What else we got? Cardboard box that exposes our regular PC style power plug, a small HDMI cable. Oh, a little chip puller. How cool is that? Look at this. We've never seen one of these before. Think of it like a pair of tweezers or a set of needle nose pliers. And the idea is that you can grab around the chip. It's got little bent ends there. You use that to grab the chip, squeeze, and pull up. There's a little indent to make squeezing it easier. Just like a pair of tweezers for computer chips. I think that's an Oculink add-on. What is this? What is this? Big. I have to say that the packaging they use isn't very resealable. It's sort of, you have to tear it open, so. Oh. Oh. Okay. If you remember, the MS-A1 had the ability to take a, what were those drives called? With a U.2? This is an adapter. And the idea is that they make these drives typically for servers, and they're called U.2 drives. They kind of look like a SATA interface. SATA won't plug into this. You got a cover on it? Must have a cover. Let's take the cover off. It's a little dust cover, but it looks like a SATA interface here. But a SATA won't fit in there. This is U.2. And then what they've done is they've made an adapter to plug into one of the M.2 slots, and then you can screw down your 2.5-inch drive into these holes, and you can put that in. You have to flip a switch. We talked about this on the MS-A1 in order to get the right voltage, and not doing so could damage it. So I'm not personally going to use this today. I think I have a U.2 drive laying around here somewhere. I wasn't prepared for this. This is, I should have known, because it's like the MS-A1. We basically got the same exact thing on the MS-A1. So if you have not watched the MS-A1 review, we covered this in more detail if you want to learn more about it. I actually have a U.2 drive installed right down here. You can't see it. Bought an Intel U.2 SSD. It's like 4 gigs for, it was 8 gigs, I think, for $250, brand new with an adapter card. And since this motherboard doesn't support U.2, it goes onto a PCI Express card, and I just put it into a slot. That's it. It operates at about Gen 3 speeds, NVMe Gen 3, about 3,600 megabytes per second. Holy cow. Look at the size of that power adapter. That's what made it so heavy. All right, then at the very bottom, we've got some documentation here. And we'll just keep it down at the bottom. I'm not reading any documentation. I should be able to figure this out intuitively. That's my rule. Okay, we got some plastic. You definitely want to take this plastic off. It's meant just to keep it from getting scratched up or marked up in shipping. And if you leave it on, it turns yellow, it bubbles, it looks terrible, and it can trap heat. But that is a beefy, beefy power supply. Now, nothing on it says Minisforum, so we'll probably need to get a silver Sharpie marker or a label maker because we don't want to mix this up with another machine. You'll see that is a 19 volt, 240 watt brick. Let's set it up. Let's try this. Figure out how I'm going to set it up. Let's see, I got a cable down here. We've got, if you haven't joined us in a while, we've got this studio being torn apart and another studio being built at the same time. So everything here is slowly dwindling away and degrading. Not degrading, but stuff is getting moved out. And with the stuff moved out, I'm hearing more echo. It's going to get worse. I'm still trying to broadcast from the studio here while I'm trying to set up the studio over there at the same time. Might have to take a few days off. It's a little crazy because I also service my clients when they call for support. Luckily, they've been pretty quiet lately, but I still have to do regular maintenance, right? So I have been a busy, busy boy. But the good news is it should be keeping me in shape, right? Moving all this stuff is exercise. I didn't want the exercise, but I probably need it. So all for the better. Now, I need a keyboard and a mouse, and I need to move these boxes out of the way. So let's just grab these boxes, and you know what? We'll put this stuff back in here just so I don't lose it. These little tweezers, whatever they're called. Chip puller. What'd you call me? Let's just set this over here. Okay. I got some space. We've got power. We've got a video input. I don't want to plug it into the network yet until we set up Windows, but I do need my keyboard and my mouse, which I have over here. We're going to power this up for the very first time. We are live unscripted. Let's just see how it all goes together. You decide you want to order one of these. This is the experience you can expect to have and how long you should expect it to take because we are filming live. Now, when I hit the power button here, blue light goes on. Let me switch over to the capture card. Let me try. Come on. Is it this one? Bear with me for just a moment as I figure out which cable I just grabbed. It must be this one. There it is. Okay, so I grabbed the wrong cable. That's fine. We're live. We make it work. Now, this is our very, very first time ever turning this on out of the box, brand new. This is how, if you order one, you should expect this experience to go. Peter Lycock, with a very generous PayPal contribution, says, hello, Carey and Mara, just another wee gift for Studio C from your friend Buster. Buster's been incredibly generous. We appreciate him so much. If you see Peter Lycock in the chat room, please shout out a happy birthday to him. Peter Lycock, happy birthday in the chat room, and do that every day until the 30th of August. That's what I'm saying. Let's give him the best birthday ever. All right, let me see. I have to go full screen the way you guys see it. There it is. All right, so here's our standard Windows setup. This is how it arrives. If you order it with the CPU, RAM, and storage, you get the operating system. Now, if you want to order it bare bones, you can provide all this stuff yourself, including the OS. I'm going to go English on that and United States on that. US keyboard and skip a secondary language. I'm not going to connect to Wi-Fi. Look, it says I don't have internet. Look at that. Look at that. Awesome. And then we accept the license agreement. Username. We're going to call this MS-A1. Right? Yeah. Sounds good to me. No password. And you know me, I go through everything except location settings on this. Off, 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 off. Accept. This thing's moving. We're flying. Okay. Well, it does that. Let me bring back camera one and put myself in a corner here. Bear with me for just a moment as I configure the OBS software to put me up there so you guys can see what's going on at the same time. Ian Gooch says hello from London on a cool 63-degree Fahrenheit day. Whew, wish I was there. Be getting some fish and chips. Yeah, I would. Great YouTube channel rating a lot of food there in England and in the UK. Is called Rate My Takeaway. Guy is fantastic. Highly recommended YouTube channel if you want to watch some restaurant food reviews there in England and in the UK in general. All right, that looks like it's started up. So let me grab an Ethernet cable. Now we're going to plug it into the network and we can do Windows updates. And while it's doing Windows updates, we can poke around at some of the settings and see what we've got. Like what version of Windows? Is it activated? Look at the drivers. Who makes the network card? Stuff like that. So we'll do that at the same time as we update. I'm looking on the floor. There's a mess of cables. One of these is an Ethernet cable. Where did it go? It's around here somewhere. Is this it? Found it. Hey. All right, let's plug it in. Either Ethernet port, doesn't matter. Pick one. Give that a second for the router to initialize and assign an IP address for it. And then let me go over here. Got to go full screen again so I can see the desktop better. Bear with me for just a moment. Now you notice all the desktop icons populated once I plug the internet connection in. Did you catch that? Finally, I can see it. I just got to hit the right button. We're going to go to settings, and then we're going to go to Windows Update. And I'm going to tell this a couple of different things here. I want it to automatically keep me up to date. I'm going to go to Advanced, and I want it to receive updates for other Microsoft products. Again, I want it to keep me up to date, and I want it to notify me when it needs to restart. I see we've got 2 optional updates inside of here, so we'll grab both of those. I don't even care what they are. I just grab them blindly. I don't care. Just want this thing fully updated. Now, for some reason, I don't see other updates happening, but we're going to check on that in a minute. I'm going to right-click on the Start menu and go to the Device Manager. No, I want to go to System first to get the system specifications. And as we look in the system specs, you can see we've got the AMD Ryzen 8700G with Ryzen 780M graphics, 4.2 gig, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM. We're running Windows 11 Professional. And are we activated? Let's see. Activation. Come on, if I spell it right. Activation settings. We're active. That means it's activated. If we go to the Device Manager, check for updates. There we go. I'm going to go back to the Device Manager, right-click on the Start menu. I want to make sure that everything is loaded as far as drivers for hardware. And I'm just kind of curious who makes the network adapters. Intel's making the Wi-Fi. It is a 6E. And Realtek makes the LAN adapters. Those are 2.5 gig Ethernet controllers. And you get 2 of them. What version of Windows was this? Let's go back to System. It was Pro, but was it 22H2, 23H2? It is 23H2, which means they modified the installer to say you don't have a network connection. In other words, if it was not modified, it would force us to run a DOS command called bypass NRO. I appreciate that Minisforum has made that modification so that we can install And there's not that many drivers, really, or missing updates, I mean to say. So while that's happening, David Graham with the $2 super chat says, what other CPU can go in it? Is there a better one? Well, isn't it kind of interesting that no matter how good something is made, there are those of you who want to make it better. If somebody makes the most delicious thing you've ever eaten, your thought is, can I put some bacon or sugar or salt on it? Look, yes, you can change the CPU in this. It is a socketable CPU. So if we look at the support page, Ian Gooch, by the way, with a 10-pound contribution there in England, says he had the fish and chips yesterday. Ah, man, I'm so jealous. All right. I mean, I can get fish and chips in Phoenix, but, you know, I'm sure it's nowhere near as good. Anyway, so when we talk about the CPU options on this, let me go back over to the Minisforum website here and see if they mention anything about that. Let's grab the screen capture. You can join me as we scroll through the website here. Let me get rid of camera one so you can see everything. Okay, this is support for AMD AM5 platforms. So in theory, any AM5 CPU will work. Any. Now, will you have heat-related problems with other AMD CPUs that run at a higher TDP? Potentially. Now, right now, it's saying 8700G is the max, but this marketing material was probably created before the 9000 series has been released. The USB 4 interface supports up to 40 gigabits per second. That is fast. And this will boost to 5.1 gigahertz, but you have a 65 watt TDP on that CPU. And that means the heat's going to be controlled. With NVMe slots, it's going to transfer at Gen 4 speeds because it's an 8000 series AMD. They don't support Gen 5. So up to 7,000 megabytes per second. Expansion slots allow for a total capacity of 14 terabytes. Or is that 16 terabytes? But that's based on the limitations of the technology of the NVMe drives themselves. It's entirely possible it could support 128 terabytes. If they made NVMe drives that big, that would fit in the number of slots we have for that total. These numbers say only Raphael, Phoenix, and Granite Ridge architectures support 4 NVMe SSDs. That's the other thing you got to worry about if you want to outsmart the CPU. Okay, you're going to get different levels of support based on what CPU you put in there. So if you want the best, you want to use those codename CPUs that AMD works with. Now, again, you got dual channel DDR5, 5200 megahertz up to 96 gigs, meaning you could get 2 sticks of 48 if you want to. But that's as big as a stick you can buy. If they make a stick at, you know, a larger capacity, then in theory, it would recognize that potentially with a BIOS update. So, let's see, what else we got going on? Any other CPU information? Which CPUs? That's the very first question. All AMD 7000, 8000 series, and it can support the AMD 9000 series with a BIOS update. There you go. Look at that. Like that's one of the main questions people ask right there. What's the maximum TDP? All right, this is important. 7950, 7900X will need 100 watts. You may have a heat-related issue if you put it in a box, because you got to use Minisforum's cooler, okay? So I wouldn't go crazy if I were you. Nothing wrong with the 8700G. Like to say, what can I do that's better? I don't know. I just think that's a little Like, what do you need that much? What are you doing, man? You just try to spend more money? This is your best bang for the buck by far. You could change it if you want to, but I wouldn't. Because I know they've tested it and I know that works. I don't want to be the tester and find out that my more powerful CPU generates more power, costs more to run, and creates more heat. That might be difficult to control. That would be my concern, but I wouldn't want to test it. This has already been thoroughly tested with that config. If that's not good enough for you, build your own desktop computer. That's what I would say. Then you can build anything you want, put whatever size cooler you're going to need, whatever power consumption you want. This is not a desktop. However, you can change a CPU, okay? But if you go beyond 65 watts, I'm just not quite sure how that's going to work out power-wise. You'll have to let me know. Might be fine. Let's see, where were we? Window capture mode is on. Let's turn window capture off. Still doing updates. Is it ready to start? Let's see. It's downloading a big cumulative update right now. And then we'll let that install. So in the meantime, let me take a look in the chat, see what other questions are. I'll do my best to answer them and explain why I'm giving you that answer. Nick Caffrey contributes €5. Oops, he says, I'm late. Hi, Carey and Mara, and here's for the Gatorade Coke subscription. Thank you, Nick. Cheers, mate, as they say. Thank you. Dan Nilsson shouting out a happy birthday to Peter Laycock, and Paul Connolly saying happy birthday to Buster from Down Under. How cool is that? Worldwide happy birthdays coming in, Buster. Well, let's see. Just looking through the chat. Appreciate our community here of kind folks who don't think they're better than anybody else or smarter. What we do here in our chat room is we're kinder. If you can't be kind, we have room for you. If you are kind, welcome in. We'd love to have you. Just say hello. That's how it all starts, is with a simple hello. And you get what you give here. You know, you give and show kindness, you're going to be shown and given kindness in return. So we appreciate all of our members in this amazing community and looking forward to continuing to build it with other like-minded individuals. Taking a look at other questions I might have missed. Dave Herzog says hello. V Manor says hello. Morton Bob says greetings from Michigan. Right on. Thank you. I like that there's not a lot of missing updates on this. You know, sometimes we get machines where they put an operating system image on that's over a year old running 22H2. I love that we have 23H2. This machine is perfectly silent. If there's a fan in there, I can't hear it. So we're going to open it up here in a little bit. Now, I don't have any overhead camera or close-up camera available, although that's been moved over to Studio C, but I'll do what I can to just bring the unit up to the camera, you know, old school. Craig says, hey, hello, it's me. It's me you're looking for. Thank you, Craig. Good to see you. Oystein saying hello. Oystein wants to know, so no USB 4 ports? Yes, it has USB 4, 40 gigabit ports. If we go back and look one more time, we have these links, by the way, that I'm utilizing here to show you. It's coming right from our chat room. Okay, so you can take a look at all of the specs if I'm going through it too quickly through my eagerness. Let's bring up the window capture again. And as I scroll through here and look at the ports, right there it says USB 4. And the USB 4 port right here on the back, up to 40 gigabits per second. Okay. That on the screen for a minute. Might be going through it too quickly. That's a heck of a price. I got to tell you, that's a lot of computer for the money. All right, let's go back to see what's going on the desktop. Oh, wrong one, Carey. I'll get there. There it is. All right, how we doing? We're installing. That's fine. Guess I need to just move this over a little bit so as I can see. Okay. I mean, there might be some updates after these updates, but overall, that's not bad at all. And specs on this look amazing for the price. It's a bit larger than a typical mini PC, but also not quite as tall. Its dimensions, I would say, I'd have to look them up, but it looks like it's about 8 inches by 8 inches or something close to that, and only maybe 2 inches tall. Now, I am hearing the fan crank up a little bit, so it must be doing some work, something that's finally making it stretch its muscle, stretch out a little bit, use all of its resources. It does everything so easily, you know, for it to just sit there and idle to browse the web, check emails, nothing to that. I could certainly video edit on this, no problem. This is potentially a little home server if you want it to be. It's that powerful. The main thing about a server isn't so much that it has to be powerful internally, but you have to have a number of ways to get the data in and out quickly. So with the 2.5 gig LAN ports, the Wi-Fi 6E, if you need that, Oculink is there if you want to put an external graphics card on this. Let me show you how that works while we're waiting. Minisforum makes, and you don't have to use theirs, by the way. You can get anybody's Oculink compatible GPU dock. Okay, you've seen hard drive docks. Have you ever seen a GPU dock? Let me show you what it looks like. And these are really inexpensive. I know back in the day, these basically like Thunderbolt docks for video cards were somewhere around $400. Let me show you what you get here from Minisforum. Let's go full screen while this is loading. Control F. Bear with me for a second. Control F. There I am. All right. So this brand new in a box, never opened it before. Actually, I might have taken the, coming back to me, I might have taken the foam off. But I'm taking this out. Documentation. There's our Oculink cable right here. Check this out. Now think about it for a minute. Your external graphics card, say you want to put a 4090 on this, or a 2080, maybe even a 1080, whatever, 3060. Your video card needs power, right? So you're going to need a desktop power supply. I'm just saying, your desk is going to get real crowded if this is what you want to do. You can do it. I think this is pretty straightforward. You plug your power supply in here. You put your graphics card in there. Whatever graphics card you want. Any graphics card you want. You got a power button. And on the other side, you have one connector. You had one job. Now, these are just holes that they can align with something that goes here. I'm not sure what. That's all there is to it. Really simple device. And now play whatever games you want to play. Gaming, to me, is an expensive luxury. You want to put a $2,000 video card into a dock, into an $800, $700 machine that can just do amazing work and just use it for gaming. That's an option if you want to do it. Minisforum sells the dock. Any Minisforum PC with an Oculink or any competitor's PC with Oculink, you can use this. It's not proprietary. Okay? Okay? Okay. Put it back. We can actually test this. I do have some GPUs we could slap in here with a power supply and try it out. I figure out how it goes back in the box just for now. There's a couple other things I want to do first. It's in something like this. It never goes back in the box the same way. Let's just set it aside for now. You have options. You have options. All right, how are we doing over here? Did it reboot on its own? Back to Windows updates. Oh, I must have hit a key by mistake and minimized it. Okay, well, it's installing and it's almost done. In the meantime, let's see, what else can we do? Go back to camera 1 and see what you guys are saying in the chat room, because I'm not seeing it. I don't have my tablet, you know, to keep an eye on things. Do you need AMD Adrenalin on this unit? Yes, anything that runs an AMD processor should have the AMD Adrenalin software, for sure. David Graham wants to know, other than gaming, what use case would the Oculink be used for? Well, primarily it's designed for gamers. That's its main target audience. However, I suppose if you were a graphic designer and you needed the power of the GPU for things like cryptocurrency mining, or if you wanted to render things in AutoCAD, drafting, any sort of rendering style of work that you wanted to offload to a more powerful processor, those are options. You know, you could put a you put a $10,000 Quattro graphics card in there, Quadro, for, you know, enhanced business style render use. There's probably, I suppose, anything that plugs into a PCI Express slot, you could use Oculink for. So if you can plug it into your computer under PCI Express, then you could plug it into Oculink. Would it make sense to add a Wi-Fi card that way, just because you can? Would it make sense to put a, maybe, maybe I could put my 4-port capture card in the Oculink port and run this as my OBS server with 4 HDMI inputs. I mean, it's going to look terrible because it's all going to be exposed. But it's an interesting idea. Yeah, I mean, in theory, anything that you can plug into the computer, you can plug into the Oculink. That's the best way I can explain it. I'm not quite sure why that would be useful, but you could. Let's see. How are we doing over here? Finished yet? Yes. All right. Let's reboot. Let these updates take effect, and then we'll go back and check again for any newer updates to those updates. Hopefully, this will be completed soon, and then we can open the unit up, take a look at how it's built inside and how configurable and easy or difficult it is to work on. Morton Bob said that could be really nice if you were mobile streaming. Oh, yes, you're absolutely correct. However, I could also just use a small Intel NUC that has the ability to take a graphics card and have it all contained in one unit. So I'm not messing around with added cabling and exposure of different pieces. In other words, if I was going to travel with it, go back to camera 1. If I was going to travel, this wouldn't be the way I would do it, because there are better, even mini ITX cases with a handle that I could have the capture card in, and it's all one unit, and I just plug it in. Here I need to bring a separate power supply for the Oculink port. I need to bring the Oculink cable. I need to bring the Oculink dock. The card, when it's installed, is fully exposed, so if anybody, you know, if I'm in a crowded place, somebody touches it, bumps into it, knocks it off the table. So there are better mobile solutions, in my personal opinion, that keep everything contained in one box, easier to set up, and no worry about something breaking in the shipping, because it's all contained in the case, covered by the case cover. But you could do it. Yes, you could. Should you? I wouldn't. Having all of these things exposed externally might be fine in your home, might even be fine in a business, but I would suggest you just buy a desktop if you're going to. If you feel the need that you have to buy an external GPU dock, you should be using a desktop. That's my professional opinion. You're taking something that isn't designed to do that, you're plugging it in, and then you have an external dock that needs external power with an external exposed card. That's just not safe. It's not good practice for my business and my business's liabilities to encourage that. That's definitely kind of a home user thing. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But in business, there are liabilities, potential liabilities. And that just wouldn't be appropriate. We would buy a tower machine for that, traditional. We wouldn't use something like this and then start tacking onto it like it's Sputnik. Not Sputnik. What was that Russian space station called? Mir, Space Station Mir, M-I-R. And they kept adding things to it, and one room would be upside down from the other room because it was never planned. It just kind of, hey, we could do this. Let's add another room to it. And the thing was a big, when it was all done, it was a big kludge because nothing was thought ahead. And then, of course, they just let it burn up in the atmosphere. It was just like, we're just making this up as we go. I feel like you shouldn't make it up as you go. You should plan ahead for what your needs are and buy what's appropriate for your needs. Now, if it sounds appealing to you to have exposed circuit boards and power supplies on your desk, have at it. It's available. But if you like something quiet that doesn't have a bunch of RGB and flashing lights, it's not noisy, it's reliable, it's rocket ship fast, and it's affordable, you could set it on the table and not even realize it's there. You could use this as the ultimate home media center. It's got so much power. This could work to function as a file share for your network, as well as provide you Plex or any other, types of services like, come on, Carey, you can think of it. Proxmox. Can you imagine? All right, let's just keep going. Let me check the updates one more time. Let's see, we are on input here. There, now I can see it. All right, we're going to go back to Windows Update. Now, there's a few things that I do for my customers as just part of the service I offer. And one of them is I'm going to get rid of this advertising down on the search bar. So while it's updating, I can just do this at the same time. Search permissions. I don't have to type the whole thing, and you'll see the suggestion comes up here, and that's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom where it says More Settings. When I turn this off, that little icon's going to go away. There, now my search bar is clean again. And we can go back to Windows Update. Looks like everything's up to date. We can check one more time, but I think we're current. Then when you look at the Start menu, right over here, there's a few things I don't want, like this Microsoft Office, I uninstall. Outlook, I uninstall. Look how fast this is. This isn't bloatware. Bloatware wouldn't come out this quick. Bloatware is big and heavy. It's bloaty. There's nothing bloated about any of this. It all just comes right out in seconds. And if you want any of it back, it's all free stuff you can put back on anytime you want. So it's really not a big deal. Look how fast I get through it. It would take me longer to install an anti-bloatware program than to just go through this one by one, right click, choose uninstall. 1, 2, it's gone. Less than 2 seconds. How hard is that? That's not bloat. All right, now there's some more unwanted programs I've got in the settings, which were under settings in Windows Update, but over here, if we go to apps, look at installed apps. We've got the AMD softwares installed, and we can check AMD Adrenalin, but I don't want apps, for example. I'll just take that out. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. Media player, I'm going to replace that with BLC. Let's get rid of it. Clipchamp, I don't use it, but I don't remove it. Let's see what else. Microsoft OneDrive, Teams, I don't use. Take Teams out. We can always put these back if we need them. Then there's Teams Personal. I don't want that. Oh, I took it out. To-Do can stay. Whiteboard can stay. Minecraft, no. 1, 2, 3, 3 seconds. Mobile plans, no. Not a tablet. Movies and TV, no. Again, VLC will take care of that. News, don't want it. How would you like to be depressed today? Let's make sure you get your daily dose of depression as we monetize the news. People, I don't use it. I don't know any customers that use it, and it's free to put back on. All of this can be put back on. Remote desktop, that is a potential exploit. If you're not using it, I recommend, this is on the Pro version only of Windows 10 and 11. Take it out. It will require a reboot when it's done, but we'll reboot later. Solitaire, not having it, not on a business machine. Customer wants it, they can put it back on. Weather, I have windows in my house, I can look out the windows. This is really dumb. Media extensions, clock, Xbox Live, don't need Xbox Live, take it out. Now, instead of CCleaner or programs like that, I use a program from Microsoft called PC Manager. And all I have to do to download it is go down to the search, type in PC Manager. It comes up Microsoft PC Manager right here. And if you notice to the right, it says Get App in the Microsoft Store. Either way, we'll click on it. You don't have to log in. I'm still not logged into anything. Microsoft PC Manager, let's get that. I put this on every PC. Click yes. And it's pretty small. And I love this little app. This gets rid of all your PC utilities that you might be using from third parties to optimize and maintain Windows. We talked about this over a year ago when it was in beta, and now it's fully released. It's already installed. I click open. And am I covering up the screen at all? A little bit. Let's get rid of camera 1. And okay, so here's how you use it. Start automatically when I sign into Windows. Yes, I want this to run in the background at all times. Click Start. Now, it might ask you to change your search engine and do all this other stuff. I always just tell it no to everything. But I want to set Smart Boost to on. So right up here, I click Smart Boost, turn this on. That's it. It's going to run on its own. Now, if we want to run it manually, we still can. If we go to the main page, back over to Home, you'll notice there's a health check, a drive cleanup, startup cleanup, processes that are running. I like the drive cleanup, deep clean. This is essentially CCleaner. And I'll just tell it to clean everything. Check this box, and this box, and this, or you can leave it at the defaults and then proceed. And away it goes, cleaning up all those temp files. It's all part of Windows. And what I really like is the boost part. We go back home, it'll say how much memory we're using and how many temporary files. I just hit the boost button. Remember, it's set to do this automatically now, but I'm going to manually do that and watch everything gets cleared out. I don't know how you guys are running without this utility. And I like to see it down in the system tray to remind me that it's there. So I right click and go to taskbar settings, and I'm going to turn all this off. I don't want any of it. And I'll go to other system tray icons. I don't want to see OneDrive. I do want to see AMD software. I want to see the safely remove. I want to see our Windows security. I want to see our PC manager down there. I want to see our Windows update status, and I want to see the Bluetooth devices. I don't want that stuff hidden. It drives me crazy because you'll forget it's there. Look, we got a little hazard on our antivirus. We wouldn't know that. So we'll dismiss this. It's nothing to worry about. Oops. Go back. Jesus, computer's fast. We're going to turn this on. It's so fast. Go to settings. Sure, we'll turn on memory. What's it called? Memory integrity. It's going to require a reboot. And so did turning off the remote desktop connection, which again, we can always reinstall it or use something else for remote desktop. It's up to you. You can use the one in Pro version of Windows 10 or 11, or you can use a utility like Instant House Call, Ultra Viewer, AnyDesk. There's so many of them. Remote PC. What else? You don't have to use the ones that come with Microsoft. You can if you want to, but if you're not using them, remove them just for peace of mind. Put them back on when you need them. All right, let's see what our boot time looks like, having made these changes. It's doing updates. All right. Now, I'm going to plug my flash drive in because I want to put VLC on it. I want to run Uncle Carey's Windows 10 optimizer. This is all the standard stuff I do on all PCs consistently, whether I'm building them or they're here to test. In order for the tests to be fair comparisons, they need to be configured the same way. So there's our storage drive. There's my USB drive, and I want to install VLC. We'll run it right off the USB drive. While that's installing, go back to Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer, which is for sale and available. You can buy it. The link's in the video notes below. I need to copy that over to the desktop. And then I also want Crystal Disk Info, which should be in here. Yeah, Crystal Disk Info. Whoops. What am I doing? I go back. Let's grab CPU-Z, Crystal Disk Info, Crystal Disk Mark. All right, and if you're curious what kind of temps we're running, bring over hardware info. All right, just for fun. Just for fun. Let's see. Close this out. That finished installing. That's going to be our music and video player instead of the Microsoft stuff. Hardware info. Now, I'm just using the computer under normal circumstances, right? We're not stressing it. What sort of temps are we seeing? Let's do the sensors only. Let's go to temperatures. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Here we go. 4 temperatures. Okay, so there's our current temps. There's our maximum temps we've hit so far since we started this piece of software. Those are the minimums. These are the maximums. And then this is the average, this entire row. All right. Everything's nice and cool. Fan's nice and quiet. I'm digging it. We can minimize that. This will let it run in the background, I suppose. But we're going to reboot after Uncle Carey. So we're going to go ahead and do the Uncle Carey optimizer now and get it out of the way, which will require a reboot here. All those access denieds are just trying to turn off indexing on files that are in use or unavailable. That's what it's supposed to do. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're an administrator. When indexing is turned on, it takes up drive space. And I don't know a single person that's ever used indexing. You can still search for your files the way you always have. This has no impact on that. This is about searching the internals of files. Like, I'm looking for a Word document where I wrote the word hoodity, and I don't know what the document's called. So I can search for words in the document with indexing. I don't know anybody who does that. So we turn that off and it frees up precious drive space. If you've had it on this whole time and you've run your computer for years, I bet your index file's pretty massive. Okay, there's our genuine boot time right there, live unscripted. Haven't seen any blue screens. We haven't seen any errors. Everything's smooth as silk, running beautifully, as we expect from Minisforum. And then, what do I want to do here? I want to run Crystal Disk Info. I want to see, probably have a Kingston drive, right? That's what everybody uses. Oops, hold on a second. A little too excited. Disk Info 64 is what I want. And give that a second. Yeah, it's a Kingston 1 terabyte. That's fine. Gen 4. Gen 4, Gen 4. And if we want to see the speed on that, those are not the fastest Gen 4 drives, okay? We'll probably get around 5,000 on it. Let's see. It says up to 7,000. In theory, you can get up to about 7,300. with the right drive. But then those drives also get hotter. So back and forth we go, right? So Kingston should kind of meet us in the middle above Gen 3, sort of mid-range Gen 4, while also not being too hot. Yeah, it's pretty close. 4762 on a sequential writes is the best you're going to see. Oh, almost 4800. It's improving a little bit as it goes through 5 different tests. It tells you right up here which test it's on. 5 tests. After that, we'll do the same on the right side and see what the write speed is. Should be pretty close. 4000, I'd say. Here we go. Sequential write is happening. It has to give it a minute to clear out any caches or buffers, so the numbers are going to be accurate. Okay, again, I was close. 3892, close to 4000. 4800, close to 5000. That's typical Kingston Gen 4 performance. It's right down the middle. And yeah, no surprises. With regards to the AMD Adrenalin software, you come down here, double click that. That should already be installed. It is. This is from Minisforum. We did not do this. So we don't know what version we have. 24.2.1 says it's up to date, but let's check it anyway. 24.7.1 is actually newer, so we can download and install that. Always want the latest version of AMD Adrenalin if you are running an AMD CPU. Okay, you need this. It's going to make your computer run faster, more reliable. This is something that should be happening automatically, but many of you might be running AMD CPUs and are not running this driver updater. That is not optimizing your CPU performance. This could make a noticeable improvement in performance on your AMD-based computer. Just FYI, try it, see for yourself. So while that installs, let's go back over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying. We have a generous gift card from Mark Gaines. Thank you for the Amazon gift card. Mark joining us from Northern Ireland. He says this is for Studio C. Thank you so much. My voice just cracked. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Slancha. I'm trying to say it in their natural tongue, but I'm sure it sounds really bad coming out of my American accent. It's the thought that counts, right? Let's see. Photomix Media is joining us. MIB Pro joins us. Welcome, welcome. And let's see who else we've got in here. Tom Parada saying hello. Scott's having a birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Scott. Randy Rablowski says hello. There's David Martinez joining us. Welcome in. Tom Parada with $9.99 super chat contribution. Joining late again, he says, hello, Carey, Mara, and chat. Welcome in, Dom. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'm just scrolling through the chat where we're waiting for the download to see what I've been missing. We're a sort of a bare minimum broadcast area here, so I'm doing the best I can. In some ways, it's better, you know what I mean? Because I don't have as much stuff to go through, but in other ways, without that stuff, I have to do everything manually. So it's kind of like going backwards a little bit with regards to our production, how we produce videos, but keeps me grounded, you know? This is how we used to do it. Richard Palmentier joins us and says hello. Welcome in, Richard. Dennis Kine says hello. There's Paul Howe saying hello. $7.77 just came in from Alan Lindas joining us here in Arizona. He says, I'm late again. Here's my question mark fee. Thank you, Alan. We're in our monsoon season. We've had 9 big storms here since June. And I'm feeling like one more and this tree over here is going to come down, but we'll see how long it lasts. Hopefully I could be at Studio C before it falls. John Paul Bacon says AMD Adrenalin software is more than just graphics drivers. That is correct. And it says as much when it installs. You'll see. Now that we've got the file, just to demonstrate that, if you read what the screen actually says, whoops, didn't want to see me. Yeah, you guys didn't notice that, but I did. Right here, we're ready to install. And we're going to run the installer, and it's going to check our platform to see if the AMD Adrenalin software can provide drivers for any AMD related equipment on our system. So it's not just CPU, it's not just GPU, it's chipset, okay? It's a lot of other things. So this is saying AMD Radeon graphics drivers. And then under here it says additional drivers. That looks like just the Radeon 780 graphics driver that's being updated. But you'll often get a little box that comes up with boxes in it that you can check or uncheck for I/O drivers, other chipset related drivers, and video drivers. So if you don't need it, when you download Adrenalin and try to install it, it'll simply not install. It'll tell you there's nothing on your system that is compatible. So you can't hurt your computer by trying. If you have an AMD system and you're not sure if you have this, go grab it and install it. If you don't need it, it won't install. There's no potential harm here. All it's going to do is either improve your computer or not install, and won't cause harm. I will not recommend anything that has the potential to cause harm. You know, that's a home user. We don't do that in business world. We don't run experiments like that and say, well, we hope for the best. That doesn't work, and you will lose your job. In the home world, when people are just kind of playing at home, you do whatever you want. There's no policies or procedures you need to follow that are being monitored by a superior that you will be held accountable to. So we're sort of in two different worlds when it comes to enthusiasts versus techs. But that's why I made this channel, to bridge that gap, because there's a lot of enthusiasts and not a lot of techs. I did, by the way, I found a tech I want to share with you here in a moment. Launch, what is that? AMD software. Yes, of course I want to launch it. So there it goes. Did it launch? Is it just sitting down here? Is it doing something? I guess I can eject my flash drive. I mean, it's dead quiet. I'm not hearing it ramp up or anything. Flash drive. Set that aside. Why is this not opening? I'm going to give it a second. Oops. Wrong mouse, Carey. Maybe I need to reboot. Peter VZ with a €1 super chat. Thank you, Peter. Lots of happy birthdays coming in for Scott here in our chat room. Happy birthday to Scott. Jason Willis says hello. Elvin Shaver joining us says hello in the chat room. If you're watching us live, please join us in the chat room. We only ask that you say hello and be kind. That's the only rule. That's all you got to do. You have one job, be kind. Join us in the chat, please. Just say hello. Let us know you're watching. Let us know where you're watching from. Where are you in the world? We have viewers all over the world. It's pretty cool to see that in the chat room. It's one thing to say it. It's another thing to see it. Tell us where you're watching from in the chat room. If you've never joined the chat room before, we'd love to have you. All you have to do is say hello. All right, this is our AMD Adrenalin software. It's working fine now after the reboot. Shows it's up to date. We are good to go. And again, you can use this to make some changes to your system. And depending on what your system is, you get different controls available to you. Obviously, not available means your system doesn't have that feature, okay? But it's not going to hurt anything. Now, with that done, I guess we can shut this down and open it up. I think there's anything else we need to do. Let me just ask the chat room real quick. Is there anything else you want to know about this PC while we're in Windows? Otherwise, we'll shut it down, get a screwdriver, and open it up. Oystein says he's joining us from Norway. Martin Postama says he's in the Netherlands. Davey joining us from Colorado, and David Martinez joining us from Nacogdoches, Texas. Paul Howe from Hampshire in the UK. Mark Gaines is in County Down in Northern Ireland. Peter VZ from the Netherlands. Mark Ely from Indiana. David Herzog is in Ohio. Curtis joins us from Wisconsin. Ah, cheese curds. Mr. Rick joins us all the way from Sweden. Mark says hello from Liverpool, that the Beatles made famous. Showman 2000. Wow, look at all these folks from the Netherlands joining us. How cool is that? Apparently, I'm big in the Netherlands. Let's see. Don Parada joins us from New York. And Arbin says Belle Isle in Detroit. Cold Code Black is from Thailand. Very cool. We don't get many users from Thailand. John Paul Bacon is in Washington. And Nick Caffrey's in West Cork, Ireland. Gerhard Huff joins us all the way from Germany. Welcome in, Gerhard. John Gallagher is in Gilbert, Arizona. Lou Greenia joins us from Vermont. Jonathan joins us from the UK. Dennis Kint living in Washington. Peter VZ, as I mentioned, in the Netherlands. Peter Laycock is in Edinburgh, Scotland. Hope I'm saying it right. And David Graham, looks like he's in Illinois. Mark Gaines, oh, we already said Mark Gaines, Northern Ireland. Alan Lindas there in Casa Grande. Some say Casa Grande, Arizona. Jose Lopez, all the way from Louisville, Kentucky. Right on. Worldwide. When I say live, unscripted, and worldwide, how brave do I got to be to go live? People are watching. Ski Man joins us from Maryland. All right, let's, I don't see questions for the build, so let's shut it down. And let's take it apart. And I need to turn camera 1 back on. And then as soon as that, there we go. Now I can go full screen on camera 1. Look at me go. All right. And we take things apart. All right, let's get this stuff out of my way. This is off, right? Yeah, no more light. No power. No USB keyboard. Tell you what, let's keep this cable close by so I don't have to pick it up off the floor. The weight of this power brick will keep it down. And then I got to find a screwdriver. Take out 8 screws, it looks like. So just as a reminder, because we're watching live, I need to remove the 4 screws here and the 4 screws over here. I was just checking the sticker if there was a screw under there for something, but it looks like it's just a quality control sticker. You know, when companies put these like warranty void if the sticker's removed, none of that's legal in the United States. It's not enforceable, I should say. Now, if you damage it, you're obviously out of warranty, but you're allowed to open and repair your stuff without taking it out of warranty. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission has made this very clear. Now, I am looking for a screwdriver that is, I hope I didn't bring my screwdrivers over to Studio C, or I'm going to be screwless. All right, let's take a look. Come on, Carey. Oh. Found it. Thank goodness I have not moved the JIS driver yet. Okay, for this I need to put my glasses on so as I can see. I had perfect vision right up until about the age of about 46. And since then, I have been resisting wearing these. I don't know which looks worse, me trying to look at something because I'm refusing to put my glasses on, or me having my glasses on. Is this better? I don't like it. Now, if I had worn them all my life, I'd be used to it, but I'm still very stubborn. All right, but I can see better now. So let's get these screws out of here. They're very shallow, very tiny. Let me show you. Bring it up to the camera. Again, we don't have the close-up camera, so I'm going to be the close-up camera. Look how tiny. Okay, and we're going to now remove 8 of those. Oh, these ones at the back. Look at that. That is like 3 times longer. So I want to make sure I make a note of where the big long screws go. Those are much longer. And they are, let's see, did I just take this out? I think I took it out from the front panel. So I'll set that over here away from the others. Let's see, they should have another one of that size over here. No, I must have taken it out from the back. Hold on. You guys can rewind the video. I'm live, so must be in the back. The back? Yeah, okay. So these longer screws, just mental note, they go to hold the bottom screws here to the back panel. 2 more screws to remove. A 1. And a 2. Now, in theory, we can open this up some way. Somehow. It either slides forward or it's got to slide, it's got to go this way, right? It's got to go from the front somehow. Here are the directions, and Minisforum's own YouTube channel will show us how to do this, but I like to figure it out on my own. Feel like you got to pull on this, push this in. No, slide this forward. That's how the other one worked. You just slid the lid forward. Something's holding us in. Don't force anything, all right? If you're struggling, you're doing it wrong. And I'm clearly doing this wrong. There's a piece I am missing here. I think it's just come off. Do I need a spudging tool to get in there and split it? There's a seam right here, and I've got all the screws out, unless... Did they put a screw down there? I don't think so. This doesn't lift up. It slides out. I can see it slides out. Why isn't it sliding out? Something is keeping us in there. Looking to see if I've missed any other screws. Everything looks good. I don't know what this sticker worries me that there might be a screw under it. But I'm pushing down on that sticker to see if there's an indent, and there isn't. So I'm sure there's nothing under there. Something's locking us in, and I think it's this front panel. I think this is somehow clipped in. So I need some kind of a spudger, something to get in there. And spudgers, did I leave them? Oh, I left them. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so I got my, I'm telling you, working between two studios, tearing one down and picking one up. Thankfully, I have not gotten that far, but I will next week. All these tools will be moved before the end of the month. So somehow I should be able to get in here, see what's going on. It's separating. What's holding it in? That's the question. I don't want to gouge it. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Because I love this so much, I don't want to hurt it in my reverse engineering it, which I normally do. I'm missing something. I don't know what I'm missing. Like, it's not occurring to me. I'm looking at it, looking to see what's holding that from coming out. You know, I'm starting to wonder if this front panel holds this whole thing together and that you slide it out the opposite way from here. I wonder. That would make sense. Like, this is like an end cap that they put on the front, and something's holding that end cap in. And once this end cap is removed, this is my guess, that when we take this front off, then the whole piece inside will slide out of the cage from the back. But I could be wrong. Let's see if Minisforum has a video showing this, because I think I remember seeing something. Let me take a quick look over at YouTube here, and we'll go to Minisforum's YouTube channel. And I'll just type in MS-A1 in YouTube search. And oh, there's a couple of creators that have already done reviews on this, including one with the external GPU. Looks like they've given it a sample here. Minisforum MS-A1. And I would share the screen, but I don't want to deal with the copyright. Just bear with me here. Not that Minisforum. It shows, you know, all the marketing aspects of it. Here we go. This is what I want. Now, this is pretty interesting, this video, because it shows, probably show a few minutes of it. It didn't get too much trouble. It shows essentially a bare bones version of this. You can see the name of the channel if you want to check it out. Taking out all the screws. All right. How do you get the lid up? Oh, the metal clip. Oh, that's what that's for. Oh, where did he put it? Hold on, go back. Where is that going? It's going into the back. So he's not taking the front off, is he? I think they kind of should have spent a little bit more time showing that little piece. It's going right over. Not going. I don't see any clips. Let's see. It's over the power connector. Okay. 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 Michael MacArthur just renewed his membership. He's now a member for 27 months. That is awesome. Thank you, Michael. He says, hello, Carey, Mara, and chat from Chickasha, Oklahoma. Happy Friday. Yeah, happy Friday to you. I hope I'm mentioning the name of that city. I hope I'm pronouncing Chickasha. Never heard of it. It certainly seems like instead of me working on that seam, I should be working on the rear. And if we pull it, I guess that's what those little tweezers are for. Let me grab those little tweezers and try it. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Page is really behind. Fresh. So much going on. Try and keep up. Let's see. Am I on camera? Okay, I am. Man, that was, the YouTube studio was way behind for some reason. I was looking at video from 20 minutes ago. It's very confusing on this side of the camera when like stuff like that happens, and I don't know why it happens. To make sure you're watching at the very latest second to keep up, you might have to refresh your page from time to time. Okay, so we get these little clippy deals. Is that what they're called? Clippy deals? Yeah, they should be called clippy deals. All right, come on now. Come on. This is what I'm talking about, right? It's like a chip puller, but apparently it's not a chip puller. It's a case dismantler. So they showed it kind of going over, let me bring this up. In their video, whoever that was, they showed this going kind of in here, like these vent holes, and then grabbing the rear and pulling. I guess you can't see it if I do it that way. Like, I don't see like any clips or anything. This looks like any of these holes will be, they're all the same as far as I can tell. Slide that in, pull. Worked. That's exactly how that works. All right. Who knew? All right, so there's our shell. Okay, the front stays on it. Don't try and take the front off. And we get to the guts. Check this design out. Come on now. Are you kidding me? There's our NVMe. There's our Wi-Fi card. Very easy to access. I don't know what's under this fan. Turn it around this way. Look at the other side. 2 more fans. Big old heat sink right over here. What's hiding under there? More NVMe drives. Look at that. Look how clean that is. That's our Wi-Fi antennas. That's brilliant. I love that. How many times have you seen me open a mini PC very carefully, warning you not to break those little Wi-Fi antennas? They're thin, they're fragile, they're barely attached, and they attach them to the lids because the lids are usually plastic, and the Wi-Fi works better going through plastic than through the metal of a very nice mini PC case. They might advertise, look how beautiful the metal case is. Yeah, but the metal case is impeding the Wi-Fi range severely. So they try and move the Wi-Fi antennas to maybe a plastic top or bottom. And then when you remove the top or bottom to do an upgrade, boom, you pull the Wi-Fi antenna right off. You might break it. So that's not going to happen in this design. That's a much, much better design. And I'm just kind of looking. We can do all kinds of fun things with this. Now, if you look right up here, if you remember the MS-A1, we had one port that had a switch, a physical switch that moves left and right. There's a warning about what that's for and how important it is that you set that to either be an NVMe drive or that U.2 adapter would go there. That's what that's for. See the screws and see this plate? Right? Think about this. We grab that U.2 adapter, which is in the box here. Here's the idea. You can put an NVMe drive in that slot, or you can put a U.2 drive in that slot. You better flip the switch to get the right voltage so you don't cause any harm. But the idea is we slide this in. We would attach a 2.5-inch drive into this, a U.2 drive. Then we would slide that into the slot, right? And we would lock it down here, here, and here. And now we can have a U.2 2.5-inch drive in there. Wonder if I still have one laying around here. I used to. I think I put it away. Let me take a quick look. I might have already moved it. Same old story. Hold on, what's this? What is this? Okay. I think this is a U.2 drive. Check this out. If you're not a trained technician or you're not a real technical person, this looks like a regular SATA 2.5-inch drive, right? Same dimensions, but that is not a SATA connector. At a first glance, when you look at it, you might say, that looks like a SATA connector. SATA connector is two separate connectors, right? It's power and data. This is one big connector. The whole thing is attached. And that would go, so again, this ships with a little dust cover on it, and you have to take this little dust cover off. Right here. Take that off. I think that's completely unnecessary. Overkill. And then we're going to slide our U.2 drive, same as you would a SATA drive. It's just, that's going to connect in. Okay? Fits the adapter perfectly. And we're going to use these holes on the bottom of the adapter to secure the drive down to the adapter. And then you'll see these little U's, right? It's like a little letter U here, here, and here. We're going to use those to secure the drive down. Once we install it in here, you better remember to flip that switch. Before you turn this on, you check that switch. If you're going to use this NVMe slot, you make sure that switch is in the right place, or I don't know, best of luck to you. It would be nice if it auto-sensed. This is still a bit primitive that you have to flip the switch, and it's critical. It's so critical you do it right. Or don't use it at all, but you don't have to worry about it. I can't believe I had that laying here. What are the odds? All right. Let's see. Okay, so the U.2 support, I think, is still a work in progress. I think there's going to be a BIOS update or something. Right now, in the shape of the MS-A1, we don't want to use the U.2 support on this. It's intended to be there, but for some reason, I think there's something missing in the BIOS that will likely come with a BIOS update. So Mara has reminded me that this is not, the U.2 support's not there yet, even though they include the adapter. So I think it would be irresponsible if I didn't explain what this is for. And it obviously has a future purpose. We're just a little early yet in its development. I guess that's why, that's what I'm being told. So they do include the U.2 adapter, but I don't think the BIOS is updated yet. That's what I think is happening. So I wasn't going to demonstrate this, and it's a good thing I didn't, because it may not work. So again, that is an NVMe slot as well. You can use that to expand your NVMe on top of replacing the one that's there. And then I believe there are two more NVMe's. I think maybe they're under here. If we look at that other person's video again, the Minisforum A1 installation, it looks like they bought a bare bones version of it. And I would encourage you to check out their video if you want to watch it, but I don't want to get a copyright strike. But at the same time, I want to honor what they did, because it looks like a very well done video. We can jump over here to see what he's doing. So he's sliding out, slides out the case. There's your AMD socket, right? Puts his chip in. He's taking the fans off. What's hidden underneath? Oh, he's putting the fans on. Hold on. What was underneath those? Just the CPU. Okay. He puts that back on. Now he's taking something. Oh, yeah. There is an SSD and RAM underneath that big heatsink. There's a NVMe slot here, and there's another one right up there. So that's two more on the other side, plus your RAM, and then it's got the little heat shields he's putting on there. That's all I needed to know. So it is under the heatsink. You do have a total of 4 NVMe drives. Capacity of 4. Very cool. Very, very cool. Now, because this has come to us already pre-configured, there's really nothing I need to do to it. Sure, we can put a larger, faster NVMe drive in there, but why? Why add the heat? Now, granted, I mean, that's a pretty big heatsink back here. So I'm sure we could handle, a Beijing 2 TB drive, a Western Digital SN850X, something like that, something Gen 4. But for me personally, that's not how I envision using this. So I want to reiterate, I don't think it's a good idea to store your data on your computer, especially if you have a lot of data. Now I'm talking music, movies, large files that take up a lot of room. Why people need large capacity is usually because those types of media files. Do you have a lot of usage of storage on your computer? Tell me what takes up the most amount of room on your storage. Rob wants to know, does it have a built-in mic? No, there's no webcam or microphone on this. No. Nope. But you could certainly add one through USB. Or you can use the 3.5 millimeter headset jack. Audio jack is what I should call it. David says he's got comic books, games, movies, and music. So here's the thing with games. The games themselves can be massive. It's not a good idea to keep a game installed that you haven't played in a month. Uninstall it. The reason why is the more free space your NVMe drive has, the more reliable it's going to be, faster it's going to be. When you get down to like 10% free or 20% of free space on your NVMe drive, you're right at the edge. And anything you go over past that 20% mark really starts to affect performance. So if there's a game you're really into right now, great, install it, love it, wonderful. And after you've had enough and you moved on to something else, and you haven't played the other game in a month, uninstall it, get that free space back. Now I understand the argument is, hey, it takes a while to download that stuff. I get it. But that's what external storage is for. So you can move the game to an external USB, a NAS, something like that, rather than keeping everything in one box and having every game you ever wanted to play all installed that you don't even play, that you haven't played, that's sitting there taking up room and is going to result in a lot of data loss. So let's say, for example, tragedy strikes, NVMe dies, and you've got 4 terabytes of data on there. Do you have any idea what your data recovery's cost is going to be? So you say, well, I don't want it all. I just want my documents and my stuff. Well, that's the stuff you should be keeping on the computer, the important stuff, and you should be backing it up to another device. So for me personally, I would not keep large files on the computer. It wouldn't matter if it's a mini PC. It doesn't matter if it's the streamer. I do not keep large files on it. I move the large files somewhere else. On the mini PC, as I mentioned, I have a little add-in card that the sign is covering up here. That is a U.2 drive. It's 4 terabytes. I take all of my video files that are being recorded on the main C drive. And at the end of the video, when I close this video and I say goodbye, that's when the file stops recording. When the camera's off, I take that file and I move it to my 4 terabyte drive. And if it's important or it's something I want to edit, I grab it over the network onto my video editing machine. Once I'm done editing it and I like it, I upload the edited file. I take a copy of the edited file, put it back over here, over the network to the 4 terabyte drive, and I free the space up on the editor for the next project. So I always have maybe 20% of my drive, 25% of my drive in use, 75% is available. That's a 4 terabyte drive, okay? So I'm using no more than 1 terabyte on it. When I have more than 1 terabyte on that one drive, I start getting nervous. Makes me very uncomfortable. So I would not load this up with 4 NVMe drives. I would not put a U.2 drive in here because this would not be, for me, a file server. File servers can be some old PC you've got laying around from 1997. You could totally put TrueNAS or something on there and make your own file server. You could grab a USB drive, plug it into many wireless routers, have USB ports, and make that your file share. Put all your files on that. You can get those little hard drive, those little 5 terabyte mechanical USB drives for $100. What are they? Let me see. I haven't checked the price in a while. Let me go over to Amazon and we'll just type in 5 TB USB. Let's see what comes up. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, I want you to see how cheap this stuff is. Look at $120 for a 5 terabyte external drive. 5 terabytes, USB 3.2, so it's not exactly slowpoke. I mean, they do make them faster. It's not USB 4. Look at the price. Here's a My Passport, $10 more. These are mechanical drives, so you want to treat them with care. And you don't have to get Western Digital. There's other competitors. You have a lot of options. And you want to put all your important data, you want to put a copy of that onto an external drive. It doesn't have to be one of these. This is just an example. There's a big old Western Digital in my book. Those, I think, are just too big. They're too noisy. They're too expensive, and they require power. So these big ones I don't want. It's the little ones that plug directly into your USB port, and they run off USB power. Whoops, hold on. My mouse is getting crazy. Like these LaCi's, these are rugged. You know, if you need something you can knock around, but they're more expensive. I would get the Seagate or the Western Digital. They're 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Same warranty, pretty much the same number of stars, almost the same number of reviews, and the same price, and the same dimensions mostly, and they work exactly the same at the same speeds, I think. That's USB 3, that says 3.2. Maybe this one's a little faster, but it's also a little tiny bit wider, not quite as tall. Anyway, that is a very simple thing to use for backups, for making copies, for moving large files. And again, you can plug it into many wireless routers in the back USB port, and you can share it with every computer on your network, or just plug it in when you need it. What's wrong with that? You don't have to get an expensive NAS. You don't have to load this thing up with NVMe drives. I wouldn't. You can. Okay. I can deep fry my shirt. I shouldn't, but I can. Let me look in the chat room and see what kind of response I'm getting. Mortot joins us and says hello. Our friend Buster is going to bed. It's late over there. Thanks for hanging out with us, Buster. Happy early birthday. Nick Caffrey says everything's backed up 1 day a week to a 4 terabyte Seagate, which is kept in another building. Subfolders backed up daily to a 2 terabyte permanently attached drive. That's what I'm talking about. On-site and off-site, regular backups. The more data you have, the more it's going to cost you to store it. So you really got to evaluate, is it important you hoard all of these games that you're not playing? Just delete them. Jeff wants to know, are all the slots on this Gen 4? I believe it says they are all Gen 4. Let's take a look one more time at the Minisforum website. We have the link available for you in the chat room here. And what does it say? It's the DDR5, the NVMe slots here. PCIe Gen 4. Yes, they appear to all be Gen 4. Let me just make sure. CPU, Oculink storage. M.2 PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSD slots times 4. There you go. Yeah, it says they all run at 4. But there is a little fine print regarding which CPU you put in here. So only the Raphael, Phoenix, and Granite Ridge architecture CPUs will support the 4 NVMe drives. So there are other AMD chips that don't fall in this family that will work for the computer to boot and run, but you may lose support on 2 of the SSDs, depending on which chip you put in there. If you buy it already assembled, of course, you're going to have the operating system included. The RAM is included. You know, Ryzen 7 8700G, 32 gigs of RAM, and you're looking at $729. It's a great deal. Does Amazon have it? You might have an Amazon link in there as well. And of course, if you just want to order it without the CPU, without the RAM, without the operating system, without the storage, $259. Come on. Come on. It's a great deal. But if it were me, again, I'm just saying, I would put an 8700G in it. I'd put 32 gigs of DDR5. And the SSD, I'd put a faster, Beijing 2 terabyte. That's the only change I would make. And when you add up what that's going to cost you to do, it's just cheaper to buy it this way. So I'm value minded. That's my immediate go-to is where's the value? Sure, I can throw more money at it, make it bigger, faster, hotter, louder. Not going to. Because to me, you should just have a desktop if you want to do that. That's my opinion. For whatever that's worth. All right, any final questions? As we're about ready to wrap up today's video, let me take a quick look here in the chat. If you've asked a question earlier and I didn't acknowledge it, it's because I didn't see it. I'm trying to do everything at once. Please do ask your question again while I'm paying attention. I will do my best to provide an answer. You may not like it, you might, but I'll do my best. Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Jose. There is some conflict in the chat. They're saying all the slots are not Gen 4. Well, according to the website, and we haven't tested them, but according to the website, they're all Gen 4, depending on which CPU you use. And the way this is decked out, it's supposed to support Gen 4. That's my understanding, unless the website information is wrong or I'm misunderstanding it. It's telling me they're all Gen 4. Now remember, modern AMD AM5 CPUs normally support Gen 5. So you lose your Gen 5 support because they put all of the resources to Gen 5 towards a better integrated graphics card. So it's more of a console chip in my mind. I don't like the 8000 series. You can watch my review of it. I was very disappointed they took a step backwards in order to make the graphics that are integrated better. That's not important to me. I'd rather have the Gen 5 support. So if it does support Gen 4 and all 4, that would make sense given the sacrifice that's made for Gen 5. However, you may be correct. Maybe some of the slots are not Gen 4, but according to the website, it says they are. So unless we slam a bunch of NVMe drives in here and test it, I don't really know for sure. Arnold wants to know, can you get something like this with Intel? Well, yes, that's the MS-A1 or O1 that we reviewed prior. So if I go up here to Minisforum's website, here we go. This is actually on Minisforum's website in that regard. It's right here. And it says, depending on which CPU you have, you get PCIe 3 times 4, PCIe 4 times 1, PCIe 4 times 4. Depending on which, so this is saying this socket. So socket 1, socket 2, socket 3, and socket 4. Each socket will run based on which family of CPU you have. So do any of these say 4 straight across the board? Okay, so it's saying on Phoenix 2, slot 1 would not be supported, wouldn't work. You'd have to use slots 2, 3, and 4, and they would all run at PCIe 4. Granite Ridge, oh, I see, Phoenix 2 is not currently supported. Granite Ridge is PCIe 3 on slot 1, and then PCIe 4 on slots 2, 3, and 4. Raphael the PCIe 3 slot also mimics Granite Ridge here, where the rest are PCI 4 time, 2, 3, and 4 support that. So the question, I think, for the average viewer is, what's Granite Ridge? What's Phoenix? What's Raphael? That's the family of chip CPU that you have. So if we look at we do this. Say, for example, we just type in what AMD CPUs Granite Ridge. That made one quick way. That's the 9000 series of chips. So I think the 8000, based on the specs we just saw, that'd be BL. Here we go. So Ryzen 7s, there's branding and model. All right, so Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5s, Ryzen 7s, and then which version of Ryzen 7. And then within that, those have production names. So this says, Pinnacle Ridge was the 2000 series, and we got to go all the way down. 4000 series, 5000 series. Let's keep going. We want to look at the 8000 series. 7000, we're getting there. Okay, 8000 series is the Phoenix line. Phoenix. Okay, so if we go back, look under Phoenix, that means slot 1 is Gen 3, slot 2 is Gen 4, slot 3 is Gen 4. What times? Hold on a minute. You're only going to get one channel. Oh, right up here. Second one, Phoenix. 4 channels on PCIe Gen 3, 1 channel. Well, that's confusing. That's going to be slow. PCIe 4 at 2 channels is half the speed. So PCIe 4x4 is only available in slot 4. And that is the slot they're likely using right now from the factory. You have to take off the heatsink to get to these 2 slots. But that's running the Phoenix CPU. If we want to go by 4 on slots 3 and 4, we'd need a Granite Ridge. So that would be the 9000 series, is what we figured out. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question for people that care about such things. I wouldn't use that much internal storage. I wouldn't care if it was times a million. It's just doesn't make any sense to put important data locally on that one machine. You want to keep it as clean of data that you're not currently using or haven't used in a while. Get that stuff off of there. Put it somewhere safe. Get it out. Free up your space so you can free up your resources. Use the resources. If you have resources being consumed on things you're not using, move them off. Having a smaller hard drive is good for you. It forces you to do it. Ask me how I know. I would put it off. When I did put it off, and the reason why the card was added is one time we were broadcasting, and I always record the live broadcast in case we lose the internet connection. Still have it here. I can upload it. I got to notice that the local drive on here, which is barely being used, it's just OBS and some assets like intros, outros, little files, said your drive is full, recording is stopped. Now the stream was still going, so I was a little confused. And I had to click OK to acknowledge it, and it just told me I can't record your stream anymore. There's no room left. And then I looked in my videos folder, and it was filled with past streams. So that's when I went online and found this solution, very inexpensive, runs at Gen 3 speeds. Copy, or rather cut and paste all those files, just in case I need them. It's like a little locker storage. They're not that important. If I haven't used them in 30 days, I don't care if they're gone. I always have a backup on YouTube anyway, just not at that quality. Still, if I want to save every video I ever made since 2008, can you imagine the storage needs? And how would I know if anything's missing? It's too much. It's time to free ourselves that data hoarding. It's not healthy. It's not good for the computer. It's not good for you. And make sure the files that are important to you, you're making the effort to make a copy of those, call it backup, some other location. Could be in the cloud, USB drive, something. And if your drive is 80% full, you're data hoarding. And it's time for you to move the data that you haven't moved or touched or altered or utilized in 30 days onto another drive. Get that burden off your PC. Your PC will run better. And ideally, you'll have more than one copy of the files. It's always good to have 2 copies if the files are important to you. My video files aren't that important to me. They're a bonus. If something happens, I've got them. It's not the end of the world if I don't. It's convenience. And I'll collect them because I got the space. But if, over time, that 4 terabyte drive is going to fill up with a bunch of video files that I will never use again. Do I want to wait until that happens? We'll see. But in the meantime, I won't get the error message I got that my C drive, where the files are recorded, is full. That'll never happen unless I do like a long stream that lasts for a month. Just nonstop, massive files. Anyway, I guess I didn't need my spudger tool after all. All right, once again, let me go back over to the chat room here and see if I'm missing any final questions. We're here at about the 2-hour mark, which is pretty much where I like to stop and say, good show, I don't want to drag it on. But I love this little computer. I just think it's amazing. I'm not normally a big AMD fan, but on the other hand, I'm not against them either. So when it works well, I don't care if it's AMD or Intel. I just want it to work well. And work well means it's responsive, it's quiet, it's easy to work on. The fact it's upgradable, I don't care. Do you know how many customers have ever contacted me and wanted to upgrade their CPU only? Zero. It's never happened. When customers usually need to upgrade, they have to change the motherboard, the RAM, and typically the storage. If you're going from an older 5-year-old system, quite often the socket's not supported. Even if it is supported, the chipset is going to limit all the new abilities of that chip if you socket it. So you want to get DDR3 to DDR4, DDR4 to DDR5, SATA to NVMe M.2. There's all these upgrades that it's not just about the CPU. It's like you're putting really fancy tires on an old piece of crap car. It doesn't match. It doesn't do you much good. Most people, when they need an upgrade, the motherboard and CPU get replaced, and quite often the RAM is not compatible. We're going from DDR3 to DDR4 or DDR4 to DDR5. This is a good thing. That means it's able to take full advantage of the latest technology without dragging all this old stuff with us, which is what AMD encourages people to do. But very few people ever actually do that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to put a modern processor in a 3-year-old motherboard, regardless. You're going to limit that new processor's ability. Why would you do that? You can, but should you? And then what do you do with the old CPU? What do you do with it? It doesn't have much value. So I don't get it. And then what is so important that you're getting that extra 10%? You're making a 10% difference in most cases in performance when you change that CPU out on the AMD side. Now, what are you able to do you weren't able to do before? It's just fun? Okay. In business, nobody has called me and hired me to do that. Okay. I have a very different perspective. The fact that this is a socketable CPU is neat, but I will never replace it. I would rather replace the whole machine so I could take advantage of all the new features the new CPU offers. It could be more storage, more channels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really about what you're spending in time and money and what you're getting back in return. And I think people do it because it's fun. It's a project. It's a hobby. They're not doing it because they actually need more performance. If somebody does that, my question is, what do you use your computer for that justifies that upgrade? How did this improve your computer usage? Besides benchmarks, what is it that you use your computer for where you were benefited from upgrading the CPU? Can anybody tell me? That's the part I don't get. You got 10% more power, but were you using all the power before? Were you like, geez, I wish this thing was just a hair faster, so let me go get another CPU, rip it all apart. Fill in the gap I'm missing, because it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. You got to replace the motherboard and the RAM to get the latest CPU benefits. Carrying over an old socket is not a benefit for you. That's a handicap. That's an anchor holding you to the past. The fact that AMD does that and people like it, that's not how the business world works. Nobody has ever called me and asked me to upgrade their AMD CPU. Never in the history of my company has any customer ever required or asked for that service, nor have I performed it. I would. It's just not something that happens outside of home users playing around. And that's fine. Play. If you have the time and you have the money. But for everybody else watching these enthusiast videos, you need to know the actual benefit going from one chip to the other without changing anything else is like putting better tires on your car and not doing anything else to the car. Does it turn a little better? Does it handle a little better? Sure. But you're not going to have much more power. It's going to cost a lot of money. And there may be nothing wrong with the tires you got now. Maybe you just want to change the rims. Have something fancier, lighter weight rims so you get better gas mileage because the rims are lighter. It lightens the weight. And you want to get the best tread possible on your tires in order to get the best mileage. How much better are you making the car versus how much does it cost in time and money to get it there? But if you're a hobbyist and you like doing that to cars, don't let me get in your way. But if the reason you're watching these videos is to determine what you need, what will benefit you for how you actually use the machine, you're in the right place because I'm going to point out what's practical versus what's hobbyist. Hobbyists spend money. They don't make money in their hobby. You make money with a hobby, that's called a job, okay? If you're spending money to do things like the old days, they had Heathkit, you solder all the little parts on and make your own radio. You could go to the store, buy a radio. People paid to do the work because they enjoyed it. But if you're shopping for a radio, you don't have to buy a Heathkit. That's all I'm trying to say. Because viewers don't know. A lot of viewers watch that and they think, oh, that's how you get a radio. No, you can just go to the store and buy a radio. Now, granted, I'm going to the past, but the reason I'm doing that is 50 years later, it's still the same behavior. There's still a confusion between the enthusiasts and why they do what they do, which is often not practical and doesn't really justify any way they use the machine to be enhanced most of the time. Now, with graphics cards, that's different. You want to get a newer graphics card so you can get higher frames out of the game you're playing or the video you're rendering. I get it. That's how business works. So I just want to make sure the viewers are aware of the distinction. That's all. I'm not telling you one's better than the other. I want you to choose which one's right for you. Because you might be watching videos of hobbyists making recommendations for things that are a complete waste of money for you that will not benefit you, depending on how you use your machine. Because as a tech, as a professional working technician, it's always about what we're using the machine for. It's not about the machine itself. I don't sit down with clients and talk about CPUs and RAM. We don't discuss that. It doesn't mean anything to them. I might as well be speaking another language. Instead, they tell me what they need the computer to do. Here's how we're going to use it daily, and we want to increase our production as much as possible. We don't want the employees waiting on the machine. Based on that, what machines will you provide for us? What they ask me, what do we need to be reliable, secure, and productive? That's it. And how can we do that without cutting corners, but without breaking the budget? So we got to find that middle line. And that is the primary source of my revenue. That's what customers call me for. That's how business works. It's very, very different from the hobbyists, and it's unfortunate we don't see a lot of actual working techs on YouTube, but there is one that I mentioned earlier, that I highly recommend. Let me see if I can find him here real quick, because he's fantastic. I really like this guy. Give me a second. Okay, this guy is great. I cannot say enough good things about this guy because I relate to his sense of humor, how he deals with the frustration, how he deals with the customers, and how he deals with poorly engineered machines that customers bring him to repair that would make an ordinary person just throw it out the window, okay? And this guy handles it with such a great sense of humor, and he does very good work. Salem Techsperts, who calls himself the greatest technician who's ever lived. So I'll be like the fourth best technician that ever lived. He can have that title. But he's got short videos. He's got videos on right to repair. He's got some stuff on cars. I don't know what it is with computer guys and cars, but we're all into cars. Anyway, look over here to videos. This guy's fantastic. I cannot say enough good stuff about this guy. We need more videos like his showing like cigarettes versus a Dell XPS. Oh man, do I feel that. So I relate to a lot of this content because he's exposing what's going on behind the scenes in the repair industry. Like he won't fix phones anymore. There's no money in it. He used to fix phones, not anymore. He's fantastic. I highly recommend you check out his channel if you want to see what it's like to be a repair technician and how this varies from your enthusiast tech channels. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying that there's something wrong, one's better than the other. But if all you're seeing is one side of the coin, this will open your eyes to what's actually running businesses right here. Why we do what we do, and how we stay in business, what customers ask of us. Versus, I'm bored today, I think I'll upgrade my CPU, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyway, let's go back to camera one. I think that'll wrap it up for today. Again, I think you know how I feel about this. I'm not going to modify it. It's perfect just the way it is. When I use the OcuLink, I'll demo it, but I don't personally have any use for it. Am I putting this on upside down? That easy. Put the 8 screws back in, fire it back up. We're good to go. Portable. It's not obnoxious with RGB. It's quiet. It's really fast. And out of the box, it's good to go. It's a bargain. You put these parts together. Grab the same CPU, grab a motherboard, a cooler, a case, a power supply, a storage drive, 32 gigs of DDR5. Did I mention power supply? And an operating system. Put that all in your shopping cart, wherever you shop online, to build something like this in a desktop form. Let me know what the price comes out to. This is already built, ready to go for less. What else you need? I like it. I like it a lot. More like this, Minisforum. Give me more like this. Am I clear? That's my honest opinion. I'm not being paid to tell you that. You should know me well enough by now. I don't work that way. Let me shout out again to our friend Buster. Thank you for your generous contribution. Weinstein, thank you for your generous contribution. Frankie B, thank you for your generous contribution. All of the members, thank you for being members. So without you guys, the channel wouldn't exist. And I just have to say, the community we have here is amazing. And when we have kind individuals being just common courtesy, talking to people the way you would if you were face to face, it means a lot to me because there's too many nasty people spitting toxic venom online because there's no consequences and they try and grab attention to themselves or disrupt. That's a sad, lonely way to live life. And so We really appreciate if you want to join our community, that you're a kind individual. Just be kind. We'd love to have you. Quick shout out also, let me just check. Mark Gaines, thank you for the Amazon gift card. Am I missing anybody? And again, Oystein with the Amazon gift card, very, very generous. And all of the super chats, which I should have here. Jose Lopez, thank you to Mike MacArthur for renewing membership. Peter VZ, Alan Lindos, Dom Parada, PSC Computers Missouri. I missed that earlier. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Sorry, I missed that earlier. Nick Caffrey, thank you. Ian Gooch, David Graham, Craig Casabona, and our good friend Peter Laycock, Buster, I'm here in Scotland. Without you guys, these videos would not exist for the free viewers to be able to enjoy because of your support and generosity. And our thanks to Minisforum for sending this to us and allowing us to review it openly and honestly. There's not a lot of companies that allow you to do that. They want to see the review before you post it. We're live. It is what it is. And there's some companies that absolutely won't work with that. And that should tell you a lot about their products, right? If they don't have enough confidence in their product that they feel the need to control a review, we don't want to review it. May not be something you want to buy. I don't know. But when a company has that kind of confidence in a product, that says a lot about them. Other products, we'll just go and buy it. If we have to, we'll go buy the product and review it using your contributions. That enables us to do that. $500 TP-Link router won't send us one for review. We'll just go buy it. No problem. As long as we have the budget to do it, you guys control the content in that way, and I can't thank you enough for it. Thank you, of course, to Mara for taking care of all the background administration that's going on with thumbnails and chat room monitoring and talking to potential sponsors or supporters. It's a lot of work. So she's a silent, working busy bee in the background you wouldn't even know was there, but it's getting a lot of stuff done behind the scenes. So thank you for that. And of course, our friends at Acronis and RoboForm, as always, they support us. Consider supporting them back. I use RoboForm and I use Acronis. I'm so happy that they're offering you guys a 30% discount off their products. Free trials for you to evaluate for yourself. Links for everything I've talked about, the Minisforum page for this product, the MS-A1, all in our video notes. Mara spends a lot of time updating those notes, proofreading them, spell checking them, making sure all the links work. It's a shame if you don't use them. They're right there. Official Tim Tech became a supporter. Right on. Thank you, Tim. And thanks to all of you. Again, the community is so amazing. We really appreciate each and every one of you. We hope to see you here very soon. As I'm moving Studio B over to Studio C, I'm going to continue to broadcast until I'm just a guy in an empty abyss. I'm going to try. If there's a couple of days without videos, it's because we're moving the camera equipment. And so don't worry, don't sweat. We will return once we get everything moved over. In the meantime, that'll wrap it up for me for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you all very, very soon. Until next time, bye for now.